Hello and welcome to Go Buff Sports. I'm Leo Rivera.
And I'm Matt Spivack.
We have an amazing show for you planned today, so let's go ahead and get right started. After waiting for a March Madness bid, Colorado women's basketball was given a 5th seed in the Albany II Regional to make the dance. On March 22nd, the Buffs took on 12-seed Drake in Kansas State University's arena in Manhattan, Kansas for the first round of the tournament. Both teams played poorly in the first, with the Bulldogs threatening to close the lead for the first 2 quarters of the game. But as the second quarter started to end, the Buffs got in on the game and were able to hold Drake down for the rest of the matchup. The Buffs won with a score of 86-72. The Black and Gold then took on 4th seed Kansas State, who ranked number 17 in the AP poll, in the second round 2 days later. The game was a close one for the first 3 quarters until CU built up a lead to mark another win. They defeated the Wildcats in a 63-50 victory. On the 30th, the Buffs were set to play in a huge matchup against 1st seed and number 2 ranked Iowa. This was Colorado's 2nd consecutive Sweet 16 appearance. Unfortunately, the Hawkeyes were too dominant, with Caitlin Clark's 29 points besting the Buffs 68-89 and ending their March Madness run.
March Madness has shown some great attention to our women's basketball teams this year, who are finally starting to get the recognition they deserve. Fans set a new record this week, averaging 12.3 million viewers on ESPN for Iowa's matchup against LSU on Monday. But this isn't just a record for women's basketball, but the most watched game ever of both women's and men's college basketball, more than doubling the largest prior audience. It's also now one of the most viewed games in the past year of all sports, excluding NFL. We're excited to see the numbers rise for women's basketball, and I, for one, hope this continues to build.
The men's basketball team's March Madness run came to an end in a close loss to Marquette in the round of 32 on March 24th. The run included a play-in game victory over Boise State and the highest scoring game of the entire tournament against Florida. The Buffs pulled it out against the Gators, but were unable to get it done against Marquette in their 81-77 loss. Still, Colorado finished with a record-breaking 26 wins on the season, including going 10-2 in their final 12 games to finish the season.
Several Buffs on the men's basketball team season have hit the transfer portal after the end of their season. Eddie Lampkin Jr., who transferred from TCU to play for Colorado, announced he was entering the transfer portal after 1 season with the Black and Gold. His decision came fast as he committed to joining the Syracuse Orange next season. In addition to Big Eddie, 2 other Buffs, Luke O'Brien and Javon Hadley, have entered the transfer portal, but are yet to announce who they'll play for. Keep an eye out so we can keep you posted where they go and if any other players transfer.
A plethora of women's basketball players are on their way out as well. Michaela Johnson, Brianna McLeod, and Shalomi Sanders announced their entry into the portal on Tuesday, while freshman guard Jaden Atkinson, along with redshirt Ruthie Loomis-Godel and Lele Tanuvasa, entered Thursday. This convoy of underclassmen headed elsewhere leaves just 6 of the roster's 17 players remaining from the recently ended season. A much different future looks to be in store for J.R. Payne and the Black and Gold, despite back-to-back Sweet 16 appearances.
We've got more football updates, a look at Buffs heading to the draft, and the very first Colorado alum in the Hoops Hall of Fame, all coming up after this quick break.
Who wants to do basketball? Who wants to do football? Who wants to do soccer? Who wants to do volleyball?
That's so sick. Did Christian just say that?
Videography. Anyone want to do that?
Hello everyone and welcome back to this week's Buff Banner. I hope you all had an amazing spring break. To start off for this week's Buff Banner, we'll be discussing alum Chauncey Billups. As you all may know, Chauncey Billups is a hometown hero who graduated from George Washington High School, located in Denver, Colorado. He's a former basketball player who played for the University of Colorado Boulder from 1995 to 1997. In his time here at CU Boulder, he averaged 18 points and a half, 5 assists and 5 rebounds per game in just 2 seasons with the Colorado Buffaloes. At this time, Chauncey Billups was Colorado's star player. His ability to control the pace of the game as a point guard and his amazing form as a shooting guard has helped him win tons of games with the Colorado Buffaloes. His all-star talent is what helped him declare for the NBA draft in 1997. Chauncey Billups was the 3rd overall pick in the draft. He was drafted by the Boston Celtics to start off his NBA career. While he did not stay with the Boston Celtics for long, he played for many NBA teams throughout his career. He played for the Detroit Pistons, where he won an NBA championship. Nonetheless, his time in the NBA was not all butterflies and rainbows. This became especially noticeable when the Denver Nuggets decided to trade all-star Allen Iverson to the Detroit Pistons for the Denver native Chauncey Billups. This is known to be one of the worst trades in NBA history. Because of this trade, many believe that the Detroit Pistons are still haunted by this decision today. Despite this, overall, Chauncey Billups has had a pretty good 17 seasons. Because of his passion for basketball, after his NBA career ended, he became the head coach for the Portland Trail Blazers. Chauncey Billups is a well-known basketball player for his successful career. His high school even dedicated their gym to him. He's also a co-headlining the newest Basketball Hall of Fame class along with Vince Carter in 2023. He is currently coaching one of the youngest teams in the NBA, including CU alum Jabari Walker. This is all we have for today. Thank you so much. I'm Kelajanae with this week's Buff Banner.
In coaching news, NFL Hall of Famer Warren Sapp will be joining the Buffaloes as a graduate assistant this season. Although there were rumors of him joining the team late last year, the move has now been officially made. Sapp provides years of elite NFL experience and will surely be a boost to the coaching staff. With his addition, the Colorado Buffs coaching staff now has over 100 combined seasons of experience in the pros. That brings us to this week's trivia question. With Coach Sapp heading back to school, what college did he play for before his Hall of Fame career? We'll have that answered later in the show.
The CU football spring game has been announced and will take place on April 27th at 1 p.m. on Folsom Field. This will be the first opportunity to see the new additions to the team in a scrimmage format. This will be an inter-team game and not feature an opponent. The night will be capped off by The Show, headlined by Lil Wayne. Weezy will be making his return to campus after running out the team against CSU last season. The concert will be held at the CU Event Center and tickets have already gone on sale. I know I got mine and this should be a great event to end the day.
On Wednesday, April 3rd, an estimated dozen NFL scouts gathered to watch Xavier Weaver perform at his pro day. Weaver quickly grasped the attention of the audience when he ran a 4.42-second 40-yard dash, ranking him inside the top 10 fastest times by wide receivers this year. In his other events, Weaver recorded a 37-inch vertical and a broad jump of 10 feet 7 inches. The display of skills and athleticism shown by Weaver should help his stock heading into the NFL draft later this month.
Recently, several Buffs on the football and both basketball teams have already entered their respective professional drafts, with a few more projected to declare soon. Xavier Weaver's pro day leaves him as one of 9 members of the football team that will wait for his name to be called in the NFL draft late April. Cody Williams, KJ Simpson, and Tristan DeSilva may have not officially declared for the NBA draft, but most likely will in the coming weeks, and we can expect all 3 to end up headed to the league. Last but certainly not least, Jalen Sherrod officially declared for the Women NBA draft on Monday, while Quay Miller and Charlotte Whitaker quietly joined Sherrod and entered their names in the draft. It should be an extremely exciting next few months for the Black and Gold alumni heading to the next level, and we'll be sure to provide updates on where all of those hopeful draftees end up.
The Buffs women's basketball season has wrapped up, and with that, we've said goodbye to multiple fan favorites. However, Buffs were excited to hear that starting forward and sharpshooter Frieda Foreman will be returning for a 5th season at Colorado. She averaged 12.5 points per game and 42.1% from 3 as a key contributor for the Buffs' 2nd consecutive Sweet 16 run. On the same note, CU soccer fans were delighted to hear that Shira James is surprisingly returning for a 5th season at Colorado. The superstar forward from California finished 8th in the NCAA in goals with 15, on her way to leading the Buffs to a tournament appearance, and her high volume scoring will be a key to making a back-to-back run. CU women's volleyball kicks off their spring season tomorrow with 2 games on the road at Northern Colorado. They will face Northern Colorado at 11 a.m. before taking on Colorado State at 1 p.m. The CU soccer team also resumes their spring season following a friendly versus Air Force in February. Tomorrow, beginning at 9 a.m., the Colorado Cup kicks off, which include Colorado, Denver, Northern Colorado, UCCS, Air Force, and Colorado College, who will all play for this year's title. The matches will consist of 2 25-minute halves and will be all played simultaneously, culminating in the championship at 1 p.m. The Buffs are hosting this year's event at the North and South Fields at Prentup Field.
The Colorado women's lacrosse team, currently ranked 20th in this week's rankings, travel to UC Davis tomorrow to take on the Aggies in another conference showdown. The Buffs are a perfect 6-0 against the Aggies in the past and look for another win tomorrow to secure their 8th win of the season. Earlier this week, Colorado took down San Diego State at home 17-8 and lost at Denver 14-8. They are currently ranked 3rd in the Pac-12 with a 2-1 record, sitting behind USC and Stanford, who have yet to drop a conference game.
The women's club lacrosse team is off this week as they get ready to host regionals here in Boulder. They were placed number 3 in the RMWLL conference standings this past week, below Utah Valley and Utah in the standings, 2 likely opponents in the tournament.
The UC Santa Barbara Gauchos were in town last week for the duel with Colorado men's lacrosse team, and both teams were coming off a hot streak. The Buffs were looking for their 5th straight win as they sat at number 12 in the MCLA, but would have to go against number 9 Gauchos to do so. The Buffs had a very competitive start and held the lead for the first half before getting overwhelmed by their offense. The Buffs let 9 goals in the second half as Santa Barbara took a commanding 13-7 win. Despite the loss, Colorado remains at number 11 in the most recent MCLA poll and will have to defend it as they play all 4 Utah schools over the next week. BYU and Utah Valley, by the way, both are ranked top 5 in the country.
The Colorado club baseball team had a surprise weekend off due to the snowstorm just a few weeks ago, postponing their series against the School of Mines. CU is looking to keep their Mid-America Conference title defense going as they return to Scott Carpenter Park this weekend to take on the Colorado State Rams. The weekend series will begin tonight at 8 p.m. and conclude with a doubleheader tomorrow at 3 p.m. and 5 p.m. As always, you can find the live streams for all of these games on our YouTube channel.
Today, the track and field team hosted the CU Invitational. This marks the first event held on the new track, and boy is it pretty. First place performances from today so far include Ian Gilmore in the 400 meter and Abby Glenn in the women's 400 meter hurdles. Second place finishes included Emma Polak in the 400 meter hurdles and Luke Andrada in the 100 meter. And for third place, Joy Moore in the women's 400 meter hurdles and Cole Romig in the 400 meter hurdles.
The men's golf team has had a rather pedestrian last few weeks, while women's golf resumed their spring season in Phoenix, Arizona last week. The men, ranked 66 nationally, struggled to piece things together out in Eugene, finishing tied for 10th at the Oregon Duck Invitational back on March 26. They then overcame another sluggish start in San Francisco, climbing 5 spots in the final round last Friday to tie for 17th in the Goodwin Invitational hosted by Stanford. The women, ranked 68th in the country, returned to action at the Ping ASU Invitational late last week, placing 12th after their strongest round of the spring. Both squads continue their seasons next week in Arizona and California, respectively.
Hey Buffs, and happy Friday. Now that our basketball season is unfortunately over, we can now turn our full attention to our spring sports. So let's go ahead and get into it. Tomorrow, the varsity lacrosse team will play against UC Davis in California. That'll be their second away game this week, after losing to DU earlier this week. The women's soccer spring season finally kicks off this weekend as well with the Colorado Cup. We don't know who the Buffs will be playing just yet, but we do know that you can catch up with them at the Prentup at 9, 10, and 1 tomorrow. At home, you can catch our club baseball team at the Scott Carpenter Park as they play against CSU tomorrow at 3 and 5 p.m. It's finally warming up a bit, and if the 30s and 40s isn't baseball weather to you just yet, then you can keep up with us right here on our live stream on YouTube. And our last event of the weekend is Sunday as the tennis team plays at home against UCLA at 11 a.m. That's all we have for you this week. I'm Kelajanae Curry with this week's Rapid Fire.
It's time for this week's trivia answer. Earlier in the show, we asked you, where did Warren Sapp play college football? The answer is, drumroll please, the University of Miami from 1991 until 1995. And fun fact, that means he played alongside Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson for the Hurricanes in that exact time frame, both of which Coach Prime has hosted in Boulder in recent months. It really is a small world.
For this week's social media post of the week, we're headed to Twitter, where Shador Sanders posted his newest ride, a Tesla Cybertruck. His new Albite low polygon car is the first Cybertruck owned in the state of Colorado. Our runner-up post of this week is from our very own Jimmy Searfoss, who reminded Shador of the ruthlessness of CU parking services. Well, that's all we really have time for this week. We hope you guys enjoyed this show. Stay tuned and come back next week to continue getting all the news on CU Buffs.